I trust you've all taken a moment to read our acknowledgement to our friends and neighbors at the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first item of business is the approval of the agenda, and we have the addition, I'm extremely happy to say, of a housing agreement for supportive housing units. Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I recommend that the November 25th regular council meeting agenda be amended by updating the title and adding a report and recommendation to item 10 regarding proposed housing agreement authorization bylaw number 5352-2024 for the supportive housing units 201 to 211 723 Main Street at the Park Royal Gateway Building, and that the agenda be approved as amended.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary? Carried. And we have a series of reports and bylaws coming forward. For the alternate approval process, could I call on Councillor Gambioli?
I will recommend that the July 31st, 2024 report from the Senior Manager of Legislative Services, Corporate Officer, titled Alternative Approval Process Results, Park Exchange Bylaw number 5302-2024 be received for information.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert. Seconded. Any discussion? I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary? Carried. We're now going to move to what I would describe as a historical set of bylaws. This will finalize work that really commenced early in the 90s with the first transfer of density for Deer Ridge. It was in cooperation with Bob Annabelle, who was worked with British Pacific Properties at the time. That was followed by Stonecliff, and under the guidance of then Steve Nichols, our Director of Planning, that led to this set of work, and this will be, I believe, the largest, if passed this evening, will be the largest transfer of privately owned property into public hands, certainly obviously in West Vancouver's history, but perhaps in all of Metro Vancouver. And I think it's wonderful this evening that former Mayor Ron Wood is here, because he's been very much involved in this process over the years. And I would like to say a special thanks to him and to all of the people who have served on this council and worked so very hard to see this become a reality. So I'll turn this over now to Councillor Snyder, please.
Thank you. I would like to recommend that the proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985-2018, amendment bylaw number 5205-2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Councillor Lambert.
Well, I do have some general comments. They relate more to the phase development agreement. Should I make my comments now?
I think maybe it'd be better if you wait for that, if it's okay.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? The motion is carried. Thank you. Councillor Snyder.
The proposed zoning bylaw number 4662-2010, amendment bylaw number 5206-2024 be adopted.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? Motion is carried. Thank you.
I'd like to recommend that the proposed phase development agreement authorization bylaw number 5207-2024 be adopted.
Second.
Thank you. And now, Councillor Lambert, you wish to address this issue?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Sager. I really just wanted to make the point that it's important to remember here that the acquisition of the Eagle Ridge lands for Parkland does come at a cost that's beyond the simple density transfer that's foundational to the deal. There are extraordinary costs to the district that many are aware of, but some are not. We will be making an upfront cash contribution that was sourced from unrestricted CAC funds. We will be making existing DCC funds available to pay for part of the acquisition of Eagle Ridge lands. And moreover, the district will be limited in the future development potential of the district operations center adjacent Cypress Village due to the restrictions on the type and timing of development permitted on that site. And the development agreement calls for the transfer of various land parcels to BPP to secure full ownership of a business park developed in conjunction with the new Westmont Connector Road. And finally, it's worth noting that the development agreement transfers responsibility for providing all of the below-market housing to the district. So in sum, there are considerable extraordinary costs associated with the acquisition of the Eagle Ridge lands that were not originally contemplated, along with restrictions on district development potential on various related lands. So on these matters, Council has been strongly advised to accept the current agreement in its totality or risk no agreement at all. So my worry is not with the fundamentals of the plan itself. It has to do with the inability to modify the terms of the agreement in any way. And to me, that erodes the resiliency of the plan that's necessary to see it through to its intended conclusions 20 years from now. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
I would like to echo what Councillor Lambers had to say. I have repeatedly asked for a second set of financial eyes on this deal. I personally, from my readings of it, and I don't consider myself to be a financial expert, but I am someone who has been trained to look at the details in a deal, and a number of the items, currently, as I said, Councillor Lambert has itemized a few. I do not think they're in West Vancouver's best financial interest, and I have been informed that the company that did this work for us, Coriolis, that they were the experts in their field, and seemingly they were the only experts in the field in Canada because we never sought a second opinion on those financials. And any deal that I go into, regardless of how big or how small, I always ask a second opinion. So I will not be supporting this phased development agreement because I do not think it is in West Vancouver's taxpayers' best interests.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Watt.
Yeah. First, I just want to say it's, obviously taken years to get here and, commendable work on the part of everybody who has brought us here. But like Councillor Cassidy and Councillor Lambert, I too have reservations on certain elements of the deal. And I won't rehash and repeat what my colleagues have said, but just a couple of highlights. When I look at McGavin Field and the covenant on it, and I look at that prime piece of land with some of the best views in the Lower Mainland, and to see that, to become a sports field and a school when there is such a tremendous opportunity for another use like a hotel. And I understand there is a covenant on those lands, but I also understand that covenants can, through a legal process, be reversed. So I feel that we are giving up potential by not having explored that. And when you look at the short-term rental tax that comes on a hotel property, I don't know if it's 2.5% or 3% here in our district, but those are the numbers that you typically get, and that is ongoing revenue, not to mention all the amenities that something of the nature of that would bring to the municipality. I do think it's an enormous missed opportunity not to have investigated that further. And, I also struggle with the use of municipal funds, DCCs, that are being transferred for this, the fire hall, from our CACs that originally came from Rogers Creek. But at the end of the day, maybe it's the best financial deal ever, but I won't know without another set of eyes. So I do support the project. In theory, I agree that it is the best thing to do, but I won't be able to support certain elements of it for those reasons.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Councillor Thompson.
I have a question actually for staff or perhaps British Pacific Properties. We cannot go outside. Okay, staff.
This tape.
With I believe we have had second eyes on the financials, and we've had a couple of different reviews. Am I wrong?
Through the mayor at council's direction, we did have an appraiser look at values, and we have had second eyes on that component of the plan, and council's been briefed on that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
Well, I wasn't planning to say much because really we said a lot 3 months ago. When was
it
that?
was back in June.
Okay, June. Okay, wow, time flies. Okay, yeah. So anyway, whatever I said back then. But, you know, I just to respond to a couple of comments, I have been involved in looking at all of the details of this deal for, I'm going to guess, 8 years or so. And staff who are here, like Mr. Bailey, same thing. Ms. Muller have been involved from the beginning on this project and have worked really, really, really hard. We've had experts from the development community and all kinds of experts giving us advice on this project. We've investigated all the opportunities, and it's a very complex project proposal, but I'm fully confident that we are approving a great project that is going to be a real benefit to this community over the next several decades, and of course even longer than that. But I'm supportive, and yeah, I've been here since day one on this, so I can assure you I feel confident about it on behalf of the community.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. And time only flies in some circumstances. I bet if you were in the proponent's seat right now, you would think that's the longest. How many months? And just so everyone understands in the process that's taken place, normally the debates on a bylaw like this take place at third reading, and they did. And then because it's a 20-year contract, not a 10-year contract, it needed to go to the provincial government, the inspector of municipalities, and they've taken the time to review the document. And on Thursday or Friday of last week, we received, at long last, their approval. I think it's also fair to say that they sent it out to consultation, I believe, to all First Nations in British Columbia. So there's been a lot of eyes on this document. And the only comment, and because we've debated this before, I won't go on, but the phase development agreement lasts for 20 years. This property exchange lasts in perpetuity. And this will add to the property that this council dedicated as park, adding to the largest urban park, I'm told, in the world. And I'm sure people 100 years from today will forget about whatever details we've been negotiating, but we'll be awfully glad there is that beautiful, beautiful point of land as public property. So, Councillor Cassidy.
Yes, so I was rather surprised when you said there was a second set of eyes examining the financials, because this is the first actually I've heard of it, because I did specifically ask, and I was specifically informed that Coriolis was number one in their game, and there was nobody who can compete or offer an opinion at quite the same level. So I'm rather surprised to learn this evening that there is a second set of eyes. And am I correct, Councillor Watt, you're surprised as well?
I'd lit up my mic to ask the same question. I wasn't aware of another organization like Coriolis who has done an analysis of the numbers.
We'll ask Mr. Bailey to respond, but just so everyone understands, Coriolis was the team of people hired by the municipality to assist in the negotiations, and they really are considered by anybody that's been in the municipal world as long as I have. They're considered the red star or the top star team to get on your side. Mr. Bailey?
Sure, and again, through the mayor, Coriolis was the team that we hired, and Ms. Olenek, she's not here tonight, but was, the lead on that with Mr. Erb, who did a lot of our financial negotiations. WCMI was the firm that we hired to do the financial analysis and financial impact assessment, and that's actually in the council report. It refers to that. I think it's Appendix 22. There's a detailed analysis that, is a second set of eyes. And as I said before, we also had appraisals of valuations to make sure that we were in the right ballpark with respect to the valuations of the land. So I think we've gone through the due diligence at council's request on that. So it's in the council report.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind making a few comments. We have been at this a long time. I've been part of it for about 6 years at this table, but I'd say 10 years before that. I think the first time I looked at this was the K-Meek 15 years ago. And, it took me back. So when I was in university studying urban planning, they talked about these utopian-type villages that came with this complete plan. And I also learned back then, looking at the city of Vancouver, it was never planned for growth, and that's always been its challenge because they plopped a few things in. They were restricted by oceans and mountains, and there was never a regional plan, which is why we're in all these problems with infrastructure and functionality within our region. So to look at a project like this that is so completely thought out as a complete community conceptually, and the dedication to creating a real lifestyle, and quality of life up there, I'm really quite excited to bring this to West Vancouver. It's a huge project, right? Like nothing we've ever seen before, and I can understand why it makes people feel uncomfortable. And to make a decision on this is no easy feat at all. But I do feel, in the 6 years that I've been here, we've had many conversations. We've had opportunities to impact the project and affect the project. And there's been a lot of back and forth, and I'm no planner, I'm no financier, but I believe we've done our due diligence to land in a place that makes sense. And when you're projecting out 20 plus years, things are going to change. And I do believe there will be resilience in this as our world changes around us. We'll be able to come back, revisit the plan. When I first got elected, I was taken from one end of the properties easterly to the west to show the innovation and adaptation that have happened throughout the years and how British Pacific Properties has actually adapted to the needs of the day. And I think I'm quite impressed with all the work that's put in. And, it's really a shame that in all our discussions, we couldn't satisfy all of council, because it would be really grand to sit here and say, we're all on board. But I understand that. And I respect the hesitation and the lack of willingness to get behind this. But I'm behind it 100%, and I look forward to seeing it going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Snyder.
Yes, just real quickly, I don't intend on debating the issue at all because we've been through that already. And as you can tell, the fact that I'm making these recommendations where my vote falls on this. But I do recall having these discussions with staff on the second opinions and the other financials. And those had been discussed on multiple occasions. So I'm extremely, although I haven't been here for 6 years or for 8 years, but over the 2 years I've been here, I have been very, very interested and involved in keeping an eye on this whole project, and I'm very comfortable with where we're heading on this one. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you, Councillor Watt.
I don't want to keep rehashing this, but I distinctly recall Councillor Cassidy some months ago requesting another independent study over the summer that we would see the results of in the fall. And to the best of my understanding, that was not something that we collectively authorized to do. I'm not sure. So if there was that independent study,
But it was done prior to the June 6th vote. It is in the council report. Mr. Bailey, am I correct in that? It's in the council report. It came forward on June 6th. So, is there any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary? And I vote in favor. The motion is carried. And we'll now move on to another long set of Anyway, Councillor Snyder, back to you for the next one.
I'd like to recommend that the proposed road
It's not
closure,
over yet.
the road closure and removal of highway dedication bylaw number 5208-2024 be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. And the next we can take as written, Councillor Snyder.
I will make the following recommendations as written, if that's okay by Ms. Dallas. And yes, okay.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of these bylaws? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? And the motion is carried. I can't vote in favor. And the final, this is...
Yep. I'd like to recommend that the proposed park exchange bylaw number 5302-2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Is there a second? And I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. And just so everyone understands the process now, we have now given final reading and Cypress Village is approved, and all of the documents as part of it are approved. Thank you. And so sometime in the next 30 days or so, I'm expecting British Pacific Properties to deliver title to the land. And I will be thrilled to sign that on behalf of our entire community. And then I believe we're going to organize a little bit of an event, perhaps on site, where we're going to take a sledgehammer and knock down the sign that says private property and put up a new sign that says welcome to the Upper Lands Park. So I hope all of you who are here this evening are able to join us, and we're thankful for your attendance. We'll now move to very exciting items like solid waste utility bylaws. Oh, you're going to want to leave, are you? We'll take a 30-second recess. If we could ask you to move along quickly, and then we'll... And again, Mayor Wood and Joanne Wood, thanks for joining us this evening. Oh, and I didn't see Councillor Rod Day. I would have most certainly recognized you, and thank you for coming this evening. Thank you. Okay, could we please move to item number 5, the proposed solid waste utility bylaw? And I see we have a presentation. Mr. Dore, are you leading us on this, or? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and members of the public. My name is Jen Moeller. I'm the Director of Engineering and Transportation, and this evening I'm joined by my colleague Trevor Dore, Policy Planner, Policy and Programs Planner, pardon me, and he's here to present the proposed 2025 utility rate for the solid waste utility. We'll begin with that, and then we'll move on to the water utility and sewer utility, which my colleague Fatemeh Mansouri is here to present. So Trevor,
Thanks very much, Mr. Dore. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Jen mentioned, my name is Trevor Dore, and I'll be presenting the proposed solid waste utility fees for 2025. Let's just skip through here. Okay, so as a starting point, just a reminder, solid waste utility consists of these main program areas, which are also summarized in the staff report. Unlike the water and sewer utilities, capital assets and infrastructure are not typically primary expenses in the solid waste utility. Approximately 3/4 of the costs are related to contracted collection services and regional disposal and processing fees. The solid waste utility also houses a reserve, which is held as contingency to mitigate any issues related to the historic 3rd Street landfill site. And for some years now, the reserve has been a key factor in solid waste utility rate setting. So in 2014, the reserve began to grow due to provincial changes in extended producer responsibility that created a revenue source for municipal residential recycling collection. And then between 2015 and 2022, drawing down the reserve to the target level of $1 million helped keep rates flat for ratepayers despite increasing costs. And the reserve is now near its target $1 million level. And while it still provides a buffer for rate smoothing, it no longer offsets the impact of rising costs of collection service expansion or rates. I'll also just mention that Council has previously approved rate increases in 2023 and 2024. On to the key rate drivers for 2025. Here they are, continuing to provide good service and good core value in our core programs. Inflation and increased fuel costs, as well as increases to the consumer price index, which directly affect collection costs with residential collection service. New collection contracts in our residential and civic programs, which begin in July of 2025. And then ongoing costs related to Council's direction to increase our programs in public realm spaces. I'll also just mention that embedded in the rates are rate smoothing. So rate smoothing while maintaining that $1 million reserve and rate transparency, where revenue generated in each area is used to fund expenses in those same areas. And with that, here are the proposed rates for 2025. The quarterly rates are described in Appendix B of the report, and here are the annual rates for 2025. They reflect approximately 3% increase over the 2024 rates. And lastly, I'll just mention that rates are forecasted to continue increasing through 2029 as reflected in the 5-year financial plan. And with that, I will leave you with the recommendation, and I'm happy to take questions.
Thanks very much. Councillor Cassidy.
Yes, it is recommended that solid waste utility fees be adjusted for 2025 to the amounts set out in the Schedule A of proposed solid waste utility bylaw number 4740, 2012, amendment bylaw number 5348, 2024, as attached to the September 1st, 2024 report from the Senior Manager of Engineering Services, and to proposed solid waste utility bylaw number 4740, 2012, amendment bylaw number 5348, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time.
Thanks very much. Councillor Watt. Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
Just a question related to the public realm costs. You know, since we're collecting money now in the parks for parking, and we're hoping to expand that program. So far, we've decided that those funds would be going into parks maintenance, but I wonder, are we planning to share any of that with this utility, or we're trying to keep them completely separate, or does it really matter? Because it seems to me that, you know, the public realm, especially this solid waste, is related really closely to our use in parks and public spaces. So anyway, just wondered what staff
Thank you,
are
Councillor
thinking going
Gambioli.
forward.
I think that's it's funny. I had
clear?
the same thought. And,
Okay.
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli. So we haven't had any detailed discussions about that. I think there are some aspects of supporting, I don't want to say infrastructure, but it's not infrastructure, but there are some aspects of funding garnered through pay parking that, you know, should council so wish, could be directed towards supporting the existing programming and possibly expanding in future. So it's possible, but we haven't talked in detail about it or received any direction.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about it at budget time coming up.
Yeah. I think it's a very worthy discussion because it does directly relate to usage. So, Councillor Cassidy?
So when you're talking solid waste, you're also speaking about the waste that we are collecting in our parks and along our curbs and such the like.
Yes.
Through the mayor to Councillor
Yes.
Cassidy, yes, that's
Yes.
the public realm component.
Right, yes. So for those who might have a little bit of an issue with paying for parking, it will be delightful that they learn that the money is going to keep our parks clean for their enjoyment. Thank you.
There we go. Mr. Dory, thanks very much. I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item number 6, please, the proposed waterworks regulation.
So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this is my colleague Fatemeh Mansouri. She's our Senior Manager of Utilities Planning, Project Delivery, and Design, and she's here to present both the water utility, which we'll begin with, and then the sewer and drainage utility.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mansouri. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, public, and colleagues. My name is Fatemeh Mansouri. As Director Mueller mentioned, I'll be presenting the 2025 proposed rates for the water utility and sewer. Beginning with water, the district water utility produces and delivers potable water to all residents and businesses within the municipality. Fees go directly towards providing drinking water and can be broken down into 4 main areas. First, purchase of bulk potable water from Metro Vancouver, the Greater Vancouver Water District. Second, operation and maintenance of the water distribution system, including storage reservoirs, water mains, pump station, as well as 2 source supply systems, Eagle Lake and Monty Zambert, which includes dams, treatment plants, chlorination stations, and so on. Third, renewal of the supply and distribution system, including capital infrastructure renewal, asset management, and transfer to reserve, as well as financing of vehicle and equipment associated with the function of the utility. And lastly, debt services. This pie chart shows the breakdown of the proposed 2025 rate-funded expenses for these 4 main areas. This slide shows the recommended 5-year financial plan. Requirements for 2025 and beyond will focus on 2025 for this meeting. The District 2025 water utility budget is approximately $25.2 million, roughly a $0.8 million decrease over the 2024 budgeted expenditures. The year-over-year decrease is largely attributed to a decrease to the contribution to reserves. In total, taking into account operation of the utility as well as the regular capital renewal programming, an overall 4.5% revenue increase in the water utility is required. In this slide, I'll provide a brief overview of 2 major projects: the Westmount Pump Station and Reservoir and 11th Street Pump Station upgrades. These upgrades were identified as part of the district water servicing review and the water asset management plan. These projects aim to meet existing and future water conveyance and water supply redundancy needs within the distribution system. Beginning with Westmount Pump Station and Reservoir, the total estimated cost of the project is $15 million, and it's anticipated that we would need the investment within the next 5-year horizon. The preliminary design is currently being carried out. Regarding 11th Street Pump Station, the project has been recently awarded to the selected contractor for the total amount of $5.35 million, of which $1.3 million to be funded from external contribution, $3.8 million from the capital reserve, and the remainder from the infrastructure replacement funding from the utility rates. Substantial completion is expected by the end of 2025 for this project. This chart is a benchmark which shows the impact residents will see based on the land use in their bills. The estimated annual charge for a median single-family household in 2025 is $888 based on the 2023 consumption. This represents an increase of $34 over 2024. This means that about 50% of people will see more than the cited median amount and 50% will see less than the cited median amount. For the average multifamily unit, the estimated annual charge in 2025 is $317 based on the 2023 consumption, which represents an average multifamily unit bill increase of $12 over 2024. That concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer if there are any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Mansouri. Just a quick question. When would the debt servicing expire? The 5%, what year, how far out is that horizon?
Yeah, through the mayor, the debt services for the Eagle Lake development plan will be ended by the end of 2029.
2029.
Yeah, fully will be paid by the end of 2029.
That's wonderful. In many communities, these kinds of infrastructure projects are paid for by debt servicing and long-term, and we're fortunate to not be in that position. Councillor Gambioli.
So just, I noticed one of your slides, just wanted to be clear. So in fact, last year you recommended that this year we would have a 5.8% increase. This year, you're recommending that it's actually only going to be 4.5% this year. So that's good news, right? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, that is correct. Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, that is correct. When we propose the rates, it's based on the best available information that we have at the time of the rate setting. So 4.5% increase is what is recommended for 2025.
And of course, if you use less water, you pay less.
Yes.
That is correct.
And we're very fortunate in West Vancouver that we have universal water metering, and I can tell you, around Metro Vancouver, I'm promoting that with our neighbors to the east who do not have universal metering. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Thanks so much.
Mayor
Did I not put the motion? Sorry, Councillor Gambioli. My mistake.
My job, sorry about that.
That's all good.
Right. I will recommend that the water utility fees be adjusted as written. Can I say that? Is that okay?
The motion is written. I think we
Yes.
can accept that. And we have that seconded by Councillor Lambert, and I've already called the question. Let's do it again. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll go on to the proposed sewage and drainage regulations. And thanks for making this presentation as well.
Thank you. To begin, I'd like to emphasize that the sewer utility addresses both sanitary and drainage for the municipality, which conveys trees and disposes sanitary sewage and storm runoff for businesses and residents within the municipality. Fees go directly towards providing the sanitary and storm drainage services. As a reminder, the sewer rate structure is separated to isolate the regional levy driven by regionally imposed costs from the local revenue expenses and rate projections. In today's presentation, I will outline the proposed 5-year financial plan with a particular focus on the funding requirements for 2025. However, before we get into specifics of that, I will first provide an update on the cost projections for the new North Shore Wastewater Treatment Plant, a Metro Vancouver facility, since it's a significant cost driver for the utility, particularly in relation to the regional levy. The original cost projected for the new North Shore Wastewater Treatment Plant was $700 million, which raised to $1.058 billion later. While this cost was high, it was manageable without extraordinary measures within the parameters of council direction to build up a reserve to smooth out the rates. However, on June 12, 2024, the Metro Vancouver Board approved a cost allocation and phasing framework for an additional $2.8 billion increase, raising the total budget to $3.86 billion. In response to this substantial required increase, staff explored potential mechanisms for recovering the additional cost, and 2 recovery options were identified: the traditional rate-funded approach and a property value tax levy. Staff analyzed various options and found that the financial impact on users remained largely consistent regardless of the funding recovery mechanism. Given these findings, staff are proposing a hybrid approach to cost recovery for the portion of the regional costs associated with the upfront capital construction costs for the North Shore Wastewater Treatment Plant. This approach combines the use of rate increases in the sewer fund for the $1.058 billion base cost of the project, along with the property value tax levy for the incremental costs. The primary benefit of this type of levy is that this option allows eligible property owners to defer this portion of levy if desired. The deferment is applicable for residential property taxes, but it's not available for the utility charges. To illustrate the typical impact of the incremental cost, Metro Vancouver analysis forecasts an average household impact of $590 within the North Shore sewerage area. However, this figure doesn't represent an actual impact that residents will see in their bills, and it's just a metric to compare within 4 sewerage areas across the region. Unfortunately, the use of this figure by the media has created confusion because it reflects the household impact to the North Shore sewerage area and not specifically to West Vancouver. Based on the data specific to the district, the proposed levy for a single-family dwelling assessed at $3.66 million, which is an average value in West Vancouver, would be approximately $177 starting in 2025 and reaching approximately $884 by 2029. In the next couple of slides, I will be presenting the 5-year financial plan and the proposed 2025 utility fund requirements. As mentioned earlier, the sewer utility addresses both sanitary and drainage in the municipality. The collected fees go directly towards providing sewer and drainage services and can be broken down into 4 main areas. First, regional sewage treatment levy from Metro Vancouver, the Greater Vancouver Sewerage and Drainage District. Second, operation and maintenance of the sanitary sewer system, including the district's owned wastewater treatment plant, Citrus Wing. Third, operation and maintenance of the storm and drainage system. And lastly, renewal of the sanitary sewer and drainage system, including infrastructure management capital, as well as financing of vehicle and equipment associated with the function of the utility. This pie chart shows the breakdown of the 2025 proposed rate-funded expenses. This is the 5-year financial plan for sewer. We'll focus on 2025 for this meeting. The present needs of the combined utility budget is approximately $32.6 million, a $3.25 million increase over the 2024 budgeted expenditures. Overall, 2025 rates reflects a 9.6% increase in the sewer utilities revenue requirement. This increase covers funding for both local system expenditures and the regional sewer levy expenditures, excluding the incremental cost of the North Shore wastewater treatment plant. The rates reflect the hybrid cost recovery approach discussed earlier. As part of the 5-year financial plan, please note that the regional rate increases presented here reflect the adjusted figures with the application of additional revenue collected for rate smoothing in the past 6 years. We currently have $3.4 million set aside for rate smoothing. Like the water one, this chart shows the percentage of single-family household which will see a range of dollar increase for the sewer rates. The presented 2025 rate increases will result in a median single-family household bill increase of $166 for a per annum total of $1,624. The annual charge for the average multifamily unit in 2025 is $458. This represents an increase of $64 over 2024. In these 2 tables, the breakdown of increases discussed in the previous slide is highlighted in red, including those for drainage, local sewer, and regional sewer. They also outline the proposed North Shore wastewater treatment plant levy and the total household impact for the sewer utility based on the land use. This slide shows the total household impact, including solid waste, water, and sewer utilities, considering the land use. The total impact for single-family dwellings would be $388, which includes the proposed North Shore wastewater treatment plant levy for sewer. The increase for the average multifamily unit would be $160. That concludes my presentation. If there is any question, I'll be glad to answer.
Thanks very much. First, I'll just ask Councillor Watt to make the motion. We'll move it in second, and then maybe if anyone wishes to speak to it, I know I would like to add a few comments, particularly about the North Shore wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to recommend that the proposed fees and changes bylaw 5334, 2024, amendment, what happened? Oh, God. Sorry, I had flipped over. Went into auto drive, apologies. Recommend that the sewer and drainage utility fees be adjusted for 2025 to the amount set out in Schedules A and B of proposed sewerage and drainage regulation, bylaw number 5263, 2023, amendment bylaw number 5350, 2024, as attached to the September 1, 2024 report from the Senior Manager of Engineering Utilities, Planning, Design, and Projects. And again, my apologies.
Thank you. Moved and seconded.
Wait, no, we're continuing.
Up. Oh, right,
And proposed sewerage and drainage bylaw regulation bylaw number 5263, 2023, amendment bylaw number 5350, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time, and a North Shore wastewater treatment plant levy be established to collect for the incremental upfront construction costs associated with Metro Vancouver's North Shore wastewater treatment plant project.
Thank you. Thank you. Two seconders. I would just like to add, because this subject receives a great deal of press coverage on the North Shore wastewater treatment plant, and myself, Mayor Little, and Mayor Buchanan, representing our three communities on the North Shore, did serve for quite a few months on a committee to examine what went wrong with this project. Because we Metro are in litigation, all of that was done in camera, and we're not at liberty to have the kind of open discussion I wish we could all have. But I can tell you, I pretty much know what went wrong, and I'm fairly comfortable to say that I don't believe it could ever happen again, which is the important. That's looking back. Looking forward, as your mayor, I am advocating, very much like our water system, that the sewage system be done on a usage basis. I don't know if you know, but right now the division between the three municipalities on the North Shore is based on how many people go into the Lionsgate emergency ward. It was a formula set up a very long time ago that's never changed, because I guess they didn't have accurate consensus or census data or whatever. But I understand that's how the formula is decided, who gets which. To me, the wastewater treatment facility, like our water delivery system, is a utility, and everyone, regardless of where you live in Metro Vancouver, should pay the same amount. We all pay the same rate for water, whether you live in West Van or White Rock. It isn't the same with sewage, and I think it should be. And I think the industrial uses obviously create far greater waste than human waste. If it's done based on flow and usage, I think we would have a much more equitable long-term solution. And so while I don't have an immediate solution to this year's taxes, that's what I'm working on. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. It's good to hear those possibilities to consider moving forward. And our presenter suggested that a lot of confusion was drummed up in the media, and I'd agree, along with a few other information channels. And I believe Council is hoping to host a committee of the whole or some sort of open public dialogue with Metro Vancouver, who've also agreed to come out here and really walk our residents through step by step what is going to be happening, why it's happening, and what our possibilities are moving forward. So I really hope we're on putting that together, and I look forward to that for us and our public.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
So just a few questions for clarification. So one of your slides back a little bit says talks about the levy, and then it says, however, for the average single-family home, it's about $177, which you showed later this year, reaching approximately $884 by 2029, then my question is, does that continue at that rate, of that amount of $884 after 2029?
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, yes, it will continue for the amortization period of that amortization period, which would be 30 years. Yes, but I just need to mention that this number might change because it's based on the Metro Vancouver budgeted program and also BC assessment values. So
Right,
that
right.
is-
Okay, but 884 is for the foreseeable future.
that is correct.
And
That's
could
phased
you
in
just
5 years.
Could you just summarize what you said earlier about the rate smoothing? I mean, that's a little bit of good news, right? The bottom line is we've been putting money aside for years now in case something like this happens. So, I mean, my impression is that essentially people who have lived here for at least 10 years have paid into a little bit extra into, the fund and are now going to benefit. Could you just explain how people are going to benefit now?
Yes, through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, in 2018, there was an adoption from council to set up a reserve to smooth out the rates. So each year we collect some extra budget for the regional levy to put aside for rate smoothing. We were thinking about this situation when the rate forecast from Metro Vancouver come into place in terms of the North Shore wastewater treatment plan. We will have some budget set aside. For example, for 2025, the number that we have from Metro Vancouver is, I think it is 44% increase for 2025, but based on the budget that we had set aside for the rate smoothing, with application of those budget, the adjusted figure for the Metro Vancouver portion is 15% now. So that means that that addresses some portions of the increases related to North Shore wastewater treatment plan in terms of the base cost of the project.
Okay, so that's a teeny bit of good news. And finally, on the last chart with the red and blue and green numbers. So again, just to be clear, the red numbers, here we are. The drainage, local sewer, regional sewer. So the red numbers, if not for the wastewater treatment plant, those numbers would have been more or less the same.
That is correct. I should say that this number includes the base cost of the North Shore wastewater treatment plant as well, which is $1.058 billion. That portion of the North Shore wastewater treatment plant levy is associated with the incremental cost.
Right.
So to answer your question, yes, if
Right.
there wasn't these increases for the North Shore,
Right.
that could...
So the blue number is essentially the increase, and we have decided to go the route of making it a levy so that people can defer it if they want to.
That is correct.
177. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And just on that point, members of council, we did meet with ministry staff at the UBCM, and we asked the Minister of Finance to consider allowing property tax deferment for utilities as well to help alleviate this problem. That was just a meeting, but something might come of that. And I do want to say thanks to, there are a number of other mayors on the Metro board who feel as I do, that the current system is broken, it is unfair, and there are others who feel as I do that we're all in this together and that we should share these costs regionally and equitably. So I am hopeful in the next few years that that argument may win. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, so, to the mayor's point on looking for a full regional district, I couldn't agree more, but also I've been toiling for some time about the necessity to support our council colleagues in the District of North Vancouver in requesting a public inquiry, and I intend in the next council meeting to bring forward that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, sorry, I just want some clarity. Are we actually offering it as a levy, or have we just requested that in our budget?
Through the mayor to Councillor Thompson. So this, should council pass this motion, it would be authorized as we'd be collecting it as a levy. So the rates will be set as outlined in Schedule A of the council report and as they appear in the bylaw appended to the council report. And then the third part of this motion essentially authorizes collection of that incremental cost as a levy based on your property assessment.
And that would be deferrable? That is confirmed?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. Call the question. All those in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much for that wonderful, excellent presentation. Thank you. Item number 8, St. Francis in the Wood parking area. 2 years later, Councillor Thompson. It's amazing how a few paving stones can take quite a while.
Quite a while.
I have no idea.
Is there a presentation?
I've got 2 slides just to refresh council in terms of this is more of an update and receive for information. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Which one is it here?
Is it on this computer?
It's on every computer, so it's ready for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Share this. Okay, so good evening, Mayor and Council. As I mentioned there, this is just essentially an update on this item. So in July of this year, Council received a report from the Deputy Director, pardon me. Sorry, I apologize. I think the date is wrong on this. I'll maybe just address council. So there was 2 motions in connection to this item. One was directing staff to speak with the church and provide them the report that staff prepared in July of this year and seek their feedback. And that was following an update to council regarding the original January direction, whereby council authorized an expenditure of $50,000 of CACs towards some paving enhancement in the area. And in any case, the purpose of my update is just to advise council that we have provided the church with the council report and received their feedback. They unfortunately weren't in a position to contribute any funding. However, there is some good news. We received some additional quotations from alternate contractors, and we do have one that is compliant with the January direction, essentially installing pavers in the parking area and the driveway area. And they're within the $50,000 budget that council had authorized. So staff will be proceeding unless there's any further direction from council. This is just a
receipt for information,
Yes.
Councillor Thompson. And good news, because this is public property, it's public road. We do have paving stones in other areas like Ambleside and the lanes and on Clyde Avenue. And so this special little piece of roadway will get a little extra attention beside a very lovely church. I see some people in the front row nodding. Thank you.
Well,
Councillor Thompson.
I do look forward to closing this very circular discussion. Do we have a timeline on that?
I don't have an exact timeline. It will be in the spring sometime, just because it's the inclement weather and at this time of year, it wouldn't really make sense for us to award the work right now. But when the temperature is a little bit warmer and a little bit less precipitation, so March, April would be sort of my best guess.
Okay, thanks. It would have been nice to have it done for this horrible weather, but I can understand that. Thank you. So I'll put the motion on the table.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Steiner, thank you. Councillor Cassidy.
Could you please just refresh our memories as to what we're looking at to be installed on this site, please?
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, so the July 2024 direction was for an allocation of $50,000 of CACs towards pavers in the, I'll call it the travel road area, fronting the existing gravel parking area immediately opposite St. Francis and the Wood Church.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Gambioli.
Sorry, just one more question that I'm thinking of. You know, pavers don't last very long. We've got paver problem at the rec center and the outdoor parking lot. We've got paver problems outside Earls and Van City there, where we just laid down pavers, it seems to me, a couple of years ago. How often are we going to have to replace these pavers, and who's going to pay for that?
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, it's true that pavers can be predisposed to settlement and might have a different life cycle than, for example, asphalt. I mean, there's not a significant volume of traffic traveling and not at high speeds in that area, so it might largely be governed by ground conditions. I don't have an exact sort of number in terms of useful life cycle, but I would agree that we might expect there's going to be increased maintenance costs associated with maintaining some pavers in that area over, say, traditional asphalt. I think there's an aesthetic piece
So we can
to
add
this.
that to our asset levy.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Cassidy.
And Ms. Muller, are these pavers, is this a permeable surface, or what are we looking at, please?
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, we haven't proposed permeable pavers. We can certainly look into that. There will be an incremental cost associated with that. They actually have a lower life cycle, though, so it's a bit of a balance, and they can be predisposed to becoming ineffective over time just because the sort of porous nature of them get kind of clogged up with gravel, but we can certainly look at that.
So they're not permeable, that which is currently being recommended?
Not in the current quoted specification.
Okay. Given the environmental sensitivity of this neighborhood, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous neighborhood, it would behoove us to be looking at permeable, which of course is going to be substantially more expensive. But I think in this day and age, it's reprehensible of us to put down a surface which isn't permeable.
The staff can take that way. I'm not sure that it's going to be substantially more expensive, but okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Thanks very much. Item number 9, proposed fee and
Sorry,
charge
Mayor Sager,
bylaw.
I just want to note that Councillor Cassidy voted in the opposition to that motion.
Thanks very much. And thanks to the staff departing this evening. Thanks for sticking around. We'll move now to item number 9. Please propose fees and charges bylaw. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, I'll read that one again. I'd like to recommend that the proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5366, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Okay, everybody's racing in there. I've got to call a question. Any discussion? Call a question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Really happy to see this housing agreement finally come forward. Councillor Lambert. Sorry, this is number 10. We just did it.
We just did it. Sorry. The one I read twice.
That's okay. Well, I looked over to you, but then everybody seemed to want to second that, so there we go. Well, all passed. So let's move on to item 10, Councillor Lambert.
Again, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So to recommend that the proposed housing agreement authorization bylaw number 5352/2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you, Councillor Snyder. Any discussion?
And
Councillor Lambert.
just so people might know what this is all about. This is about supportive housing units in the gateway residences, and an agreement has been reached with VRS Community Services Society to purchase these units and to manage them for that particular population. So they're purchasing that for a cost of $2 million, and which I'm sure the district can put to good use for similar works elsewhere in the community.
Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Yes, this is an excellent, excellent outcome. Councillor Gambioli.
Just to add to that, to be clear, because again, this was added to the agenda just a few minutes ago, and so I don't think the public even has the information, but we're essentially selling the 11 units at Gateway to the Vancouver Resources Society, Vancouver VRS Community Services Society for $2 million to operate the 11 units as supportive housing units. And that's a 20-year agreement. And then beyond that, the agreement is that if they want to sell those units after 20 years, they can do that, but they can't do it unless they find replacement units to buy elsewhere in West Vancouver for the same supportive type of housing. So it's a long time coming. I don't know about the rest of the people on council, but I have questions like this about this on a regular basis. And I see Alexis Chicoine in the audience. She was here, I'm going to say it was at least 8 or 9 years ago when we, were talking about this project. And when we finally approved it, it was later than that. But she was here on behalf of VRS, actually, who, was it not VRS? Oh, ACDI. Okay, right. So anyway, she knows too. It's a long time coming, and I think it's a really good news story that we can finally make public.
This is a great news story, and I trust you agree.
Very much so. 11 units have been sitting there empty, and people asking, how do they get to stay there?
Yes, and to be honest with you, that is why I asked the moment I heard this was completed, I asked staff to get it on the agenda so that we could, as quickly as possible, make these suites available for people in need. Not a day it's way overdue, but not a day should go by. So anyway, it's a really great outcome. And I'll call a question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. And thanks very much for your participation in making this. Thank you. I feel the same way. And we'll go now to item number 11, bylaws. This is the proposed official community plan and zoning bylaws as a result of a recent public hearing. Councillor Watt. Councillor Cassidy.
So I have taken on the responsibility. I just recommend that the proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5296, 2024 be read a second time.
Thank you. Is there a second? A second discussion. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried.
It is recommended that proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5296, 2024 be read a third time.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli?
Yeah, I'm going to second that, but I thought I'd just like to say in order.
Of course. Seconded? Certainly.
Yeah, just to say that I'm really glad that this is finally going to pass. It looks like it was turned down a number of years ago when there were 8 units, and I thought it was a good idea at the time. But anyway, at least this is going to allow us to create 5 new units. That's going to add to our little total, and I think it's a great spot. And I think in the end of the day, it's going to blend in really well with the neighborhood, and I would hope that more of these come forward.
Thank you,
In fact,
Councillor
we
Gambier.
asked the minister, if I recall, if we could please change our, if she could please change our zoning so that we could do more of these ourselves. So that's why I'm assuming we're supporting this tonight.
Well, I feel like it's going to pass, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Cassidy.
It is recommended that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5297, 2024 be read a second time.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli?
Second.
Any discussion? Question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you, Councillor Cassidy.
Recommended that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5297, 2024 be read a third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Thompson, you have...
Sure, now we're at the end. I just wanted to say I'm really glad this is going forward as well, and I actually really like the fact that we didn't approve the 8 units, but we approved the 5 to look at the type of quality of living that we want to create in our community. It's a beautiful building to look at, and I think we got to be really careful about how we move forward with this gentle density, so I really appreciate the proponents knocking it down to 5.
Thanks very much. Any further discussion? I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Item number 12, I'm going to ask Councillor Watt if she could take over as the acting mayor on that. I'm going to abstain. And if someone could come and get me when you're done.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just finding my way here.
Number 12.
Yeah. Yeah. So, is there any presentation for this? No? Okay, excellent. Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5361, 2024 be read a second time.
Second that?
And I'll recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah,
Yep.
we're doing them one by one.
One by one.
I guess. All in favor?
Hold on.
Discussion?
We're going to have discussion.
Let's do discussion.
Who's going?
Councillor Gambioli?
Okay, sure. Thank you. So, yeah, this is an awkward one. So I do have a number of things to say. I had some photos last time. Didn't get to show all my photos last time. And it's now been made clear to me by staff that bringing back my photos would not be a good idea at this time. So I have to say I'm a little bit miffed. But anyway, for those of us who have been to the site, at least we've seen it. I just think it would have been important for the public and for our staff to have seen some of what's actually going on out there. Anyway, the context and the backstory of this is a little bit important, I think. And for those of us who have been part of this, you know, it all started, I'm going to say, in about 2017, when one owner out there built a platform, I'm going to call it, over the foreshore without permits. And that caused staff to look at it. It caused council to take a look at it. And now we fast forward to 2024, when we're being asked, in a bit of an unusual process, we're being asked by two councillors to look at this. And it's just been, in my opinion, it's been a little bit awkward because staff haven't really analyzed this and given us a recommendation. They've been asked to just write bylaws. So staff have been asked to write bylaws that allow private property owners to build encroachments onto the public foreshore. And so it's just not the usual process, and I really think that the photos would have been helpful. But anyway, what we what we did see from the photos, 3 of the photos last week, which I was able to show, was that, I really think we've opened a bit of a can of worms here, perhaps unintentionally, but it appears that a lot of private improvements have already been made on the public foreshore and on private land, and I'm pretty sure that most of them have been built without permits, and eventually those are going to be needed to be regularized by our staff, which is actually going to, create more costs for the district. It looks to me, the motion is asking us to allow encroachments onto the public foreshore so that people have access in the case of emergency. And what I saw when I toured the site, both from the road and from the ocean, is that people already have access from their property to the high tide watermark. Almost every single house already has that in one form or another. And so when people were speaking last week, I asked them, well, what else is it that you need? And what I found that was interesting was that they weren't able to articulate what they actually want. And all of them agree that they don't want a floating dock, that they don't want a gangplank, that they don't want to moor boats. So the question is, what do they want? And what they already have is access off their own land. What they already have is a way of being rescued by the search and rescue people who told me that they can rescue anyone without a problem in this area, given what's already there. So I believe that we've really just opened a can of worms with this. And I believe this is being driven from the beginning wrongly. And it's really, I think it's difficult for staff to catch up with this. And if people can't even tell us what they want, then I don't know what to say. The one person who gave me an answer that I could understand was, well, actually, I just really would like some temporary stairs so I can launch my paddleboard in the summer. Okay, so that is true. That is exactly what was told to me. So don't accuse me, please, of lying, Councillor Thompson. And so that was the most articulate answer and understandable that I heard. And perhaps that would be fine. Perhaps, we should be willing to allow temporary access with temporary encroachments in the summer months.
Councillor Gambioli,
but I don't know.
A number of others that would also like to speak. Can we come back to you in a moment?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm almost done. Almost done. And finally, I really think this is a problem with precedent. This is a precedent that dozens of other homeowners in our district could ask for. This would increase staffing costs. This would increase liability for the district. And worst of all, this will increase impacts to the marine environment. So I do not see how any of us could possibly support this motion.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. Councillor Thompson?
Oh, thank you. I've always heard that you put 10 people in a room and they all hear 10 different things. And my recollection of this scenario is quite different from Councillor Gambioli's. Goes back to much earlier than 2017, where this road has always been concerned about its egress and whatnot with in a state of emergency. Whether it's through the water or through the one existing road that we do not own and have the right to manage. Before I carry on, I do want to ask Councillor Gambioli made a comment that it will have staffing costs and liability costs to the district. Can anyone qualify that?
Through the mayor, and just, recognizing that the public hearing is closed, and I'm very mindful of introducing new information. Staff haven't completed an assessment of sort of staff and liability costs, but, we could report back on that in the future. Typically, our process would be to inspect, to bring projects into compliance. Folks are going to need to get building permits if council does approve the zoning bylaw amendment. So there'd be work associated with that. From a liability perspective, we haven't thought that through, but can report back in the future.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to speak to a few of the comments that were made. And as far as a slippery slope or setting precedent, we qualified during our last meeting that this is a very unique road with a very unique situation, and an important to provide this opportunity to the public. And the thing that's confusing that it's coming out in the media and various other dialogues such as this is this sense of public land, which really isn't accessible to the public. And we have to be clear on that. And that was definitely showed in the 3 of the 4 pictures that you did have. And unfortunately, because it's around the time of Park Lane, it's been confused with removing the public's right to access. To me, it was very clear what the residents want. And when we visited by water and by land, it was at the high tide. And yes, we did see a number of accesses, which I believe are long-standing accesses that were in place before we started restricting access. So as one of the speakers said, she wanted to legitimize what was existing there, and they wanted the ability to create the opportunity to access to the low tide mark that can sometimes be up to 15 feet lower. The search and rescue did say they could get to it. They're trained to do all kinds of things. And the day that we were in the boat where the fellow stepped off the bow of the boat onto land, we were at the highest tide possible. He said it would be a very different scenario and take extra time to achieve that type of access at low tide. So I'm happy to support this very vulnerable and unique road in West Vancouver. And I think it's a very sensible project, and I respect that staff are trying to enforce the various zonings and regulations that we have on the waterfront. But West Van and many places are very unique. And in this situation, we have a unique situation that needs unique consideration, and I believe we have achieved that in a responsible way.
Thank you. Councillor Snyder?
Yes, I'd like to just basically reiterate exactly what Councillor Thompson has said. One of the comments from one of the residents there was to legitimize what is already existing that was built well before there was the regulation in the area. So I was also on the tour with the search and rescue team and heard what they had to say, didn't hear it the way Councillor Gambioli heard it. So as Councillor Thompson says, one thing could be said in front of 10 people and 10 people hear it very differently. So I did also hear from them that it wasn't just a matter of, yes, we were at high tide and they were able to easily access the waterfront there, but at low tide it was a much different story. He said it was about transporting people and the way it is cliffs, rocky cliffs there and what have you, that in order to be able to transport and actually get somebody down to the low water tide could be a significant issue. Now, what type of structures are going to be built there? I don't know. It's certainly not going to be docks. Mother Nature's not going to allow that to last in the area there. Whether or not it be temporary stairs that can be accessed down to a low water tide, so there's access. But I agree with Councillor Thompson's approach that I think that this is a responsible thing to do for this particular neighborhood. I don't think it does open up precedent across the board. This neighborhood is very unique, similar, not the exact same as Eagle Island, but similar with the restrictions that it has to the access from the land side of things. So I'm in support of this.
Yeah. Councillor Cassidy.
Well, like Councillor Gambioli, I am decidedly confused as to exactly what these people want, and it's access to the low tide mark. In point of fact, which I discovered last week, there is a park there. There's a West Vancouver park there called Sampson Park. Now, I believe Councillor Watt went for a walk today and couldn't find it. They couldn't find it because it's rather discreet, but it is located exactly beside 8125 Pasco Road. And what I would recommend is the Parks Department put a sign up to inform people that it is a public park. So when you come from the road down to the park, there is a set of well-constructed cedar staircase with a lovely cedar handrail, and then it's flat. It comes down, and then you traverse the property, and then there's stairs down, and they're concrete as well, and they have a handrail as well, and there's a bit of platform again, and then there's another set of stairs, again concrete, with a hand railing down to them, and oh my goodness, right beside them are 2 kayaks and a rowboat on the shore. Actually on the land, just onto the shore. And at the bottom is a very large concrete platform that one can quite nicely access the waterfront from. So in the event of an emergency, is each individual who lives on Pasco Road, one by one by one, going to access the water on their ONEO to be rescued? So the North Shore Search and Rescue has to go house by house, by house, by house? Or are they going to get together and form an association, which I do believe they have, and in the about 3/4 of the way down the road, there is a dead end or a road end where they could all gather, and from there make their way to Sampson Park, which has a perfect access to the water. And at that spot, it is a little cove, perfectly protected from the waves coming in from that side. It is a cove. So you're not immediately at the front with the water abutting those rocks. It is a nice little cove. So it has been built by the District of West Vancouver, and people are using it to take their kayaks and their rowboats to the water. And also the story that we heard the other day about the individual who drowned, unfortunately, a very difficult story. But where did that individual access the water from? I surmise perhaps from that concrete platform. And if he were to be rescued, that would have been the obvious location from which to attempt to rescue him. So I really do not comprehend whatsoever what these people on Pasco Road want. They have a pathway which will be maintained by the District of West Vancouver. It's actually got a name, and it's called Sampson Park. And all you need is a light at the bottom of that concrete pathway so that one can use it at all hours of the day, particularly at night, to get access to the water. So I will not be supporting this motion. I think it's ludicrous, to put it mildly, self-serving and ludicrous. And as I said, 8125, right beside it, there is a trail. It is a public park. There are stairs to the waterfront, and there is a concrete platform at the waterfront. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Gambioli.
Sorry, my apologies. I actually had photos which I had prepared for tonight. Then I understand through Ms. Dallas that it was inappropriate to bring these because it was new information and the public hearing was closed. But if you actually, each of you who are voting in favor of this, paid a visit to Sampson Park, you might be changing your mind.
Thank you. Councillor Gambioli.
And the one thing I forgot to mention as a public service announcement from the guys on the SARS rescue boat is that if each and every one of the Pasco Road inhabitants could please put their address on a clearly marked sign at the bottom of their unpermitted stairs, that would be helpful to them if they ever wanted to get rescued.
Thank you. And so as somebody who was also out on the search and rescue boat, I I certainly heard and saw the same things that Councillors Thompson and Snyder heard. And with respects to the path, I did go out there today. I did take a look. And, you know, what it did to me going out there again was reiterate how complicated the terrain is. It is a long street. It is hilly. There are a lot of trees. And as I stood there on that street, I was thinking if there was a landslide coming down or a fire, I would probably not be going to a muster point. I'd be trying to go down off my property, but that is just me, Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I just felt like I need to comment that when we're in debate, we've got to really really understand the amount of assumptions that are taken into our debate, whether it's from where, you know, where or how or why people would access certain things or how they might behave, including where somebody who ran into a fatality might have launched. I just think we've got to, that has absolutely nothing to do with this debate, and we need to stay on point with what we actually have, as long, and also understanding that the interpretation of what we feel is safe and reasonable is something to keep in mind.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's about the individuals wanting access for safety reasons from their own properties. So is there anybody in the audience who wants to speak to this? No? Oh, we can't. That's right. So I'm just going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay, and then I'll recommend.
Yeah.
The proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5361, 2024, be read a third time.
All in favor? Opposed?
It passes. We keep going. Okay, recommend the proposed officially community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5362, 2024, be read a second time.
All in favor? Opposed?
And then recommend that the proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985, 2018, amendment bylaw number 5362, 2024, be read a third time.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to get Mayor Sager.
Thanks, Councillor Watt. And if we may proceed, where are we? That was item
Number 13.
12. So we'll move to item number 13, the proposed bylaws regulating short-term rental. Councillor Thompson, please.
I'd like to propose that the zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5356, 2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Contrary? Contrary, Councillors Cassidy and Watt. Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. And I did want to make the comment that I know some of the resistance to supporting this is the fact that we move from 8 people per unit, from 6 people to 8 people. And I do think when you travel as a family, it can sometimes be expensive and restricting to try and find 2 units, especially with Airbnbs, which may not be conveniently located. And ultimately, why I'm supporting this, I believe it's up to the landlord to make that call. So I'm going to carry on. Recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 535.
Sorry, you're on the next, you're reading. Could you go to business, the second one down?
I'm sorry. That proposed business license bylaw number 4455, 2005, amendment bylaw number 5357, 2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Contrary? Sorry, you've got your microphone. Did you want to comment? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I did want to comment. So, and I just wanted to voice my own opposition to the 8 people. I fully understand that as somebody who's traveled with family and trying to find accommodations for all of us, but I also think about it on behalf of the neighbors that may not be interested in having large groups coming and going. And with 8 people, you're going to also typically end up with 2 vehicles in addition to that. And you don't necessarily know who your temporary neighbors are going to be. So I just think with 8 people, you are potentially inviting a party element unintended. But
Thank you.
I just see the possibility.
I know, Councillor Watt, you do appreciate the owner has to be on the property.
I do appreciate that, which adds yet another person, 2, 3, or 4 on the property.
They must have a pretty
adding
big,
to the noise.
They must have a pretty big home if they're going to do this.
Well.
So, there we go. Councillor Cassidy.
I'm going to echo Councillor Watt's sentiments, and we definitely have a lot of confidence in mankind if we believe that on all occasions the owner will be on site. I do recollect the party situation that I think was in Upper Dunderave at some point, where somebody rented the house and had a wild party. And I do recollect the issue we had out at Glen Eagles, where somebody rented out their house, and there were significant parties there. So one never knows, but I'm opposed, and I won't go to any greater length than that.
Thank you. I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary? Councillors Watt and Cassidy recorded. Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
And proposed bylaw, notice enforcement bylaw number 368/2004, amendment bylaw number 5358/2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Discussion, question. All in favor? Contrary? Councillors Watt and Cassidy. And thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Recommend proposed municipal ticket information system implementation bylaw number 4383/2004, amendment bylaw 5359/2024 be adopted.
Thank you. All in favor? Contrary? Councillors Watt and Cassidy. And thank you, Councillor Thompson, the last one.
Finally, thank you. That proposed fee and charges bylaw number 5334/2024, amendment bylaw number 5360/2024 be adopted.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary? Councillors Watt and Cassidy recorded. And that brings us to the end of all of those items. Reports from Mayor and Council. I'd just like to be very quick, and I would like to congratulate and thank all of the people who helped put on a fabulous event at the K-Meet to celebrate its 20th anniversary this past Saturday, and to all of the people over all of the years who have made that beautiful facility come alive and be a reality for music and culture in our community. And also, on the same note, big thanks to the Arts Council for a very successful meeting on Thursday. It was great to see some of our colleagues, Councillor Watt and Thompson there as well. And that's it from me. Councillor Gambiola. Oh, yes. And a huge thanks to Christy Rasta and all of our staff who helped pull off a wonderful civic reception on Wednesday in our new piazza, which I understand tomorrow the stainless steel is arriving, and so they will be able to officially open as soon as permits gives them their business license. I hope it's soon. Councillor Cassidy, please.
I just wanted to mention that on Saturday I was part of the Lighthouse Preservation Society who went off the rocks at Caulfield there by Anchor Point and spent a goodly number of hours pulling ivy, blackberry, and broom. And the reason I mention this is so much of what we do in this community, we are so reliant on our volunteers. So I just wanted to make sure that they got the thanks for the work that they do in maintaining these parks. And also to give a shout out to people who, may be new to the community or, different circumstances in life and rebuilding themselves socially. It's a great way to meet people. And a number of the individuals who come don't live in West Vancouver. They come from various parts of Vancouver, and they're of all ages. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cassidy. A nice shout out. Councillor Watt. Councillor Gambioli, please.
Just a quick report from Invest Vancouver, which is one of the branches at Metro Vancouver. We had a meeting on Thursday. We meet every quarter, actually. And so two main issues. One is interesting in that Metro, they brought forward a report that Metro Vancouver is working on related to streamlining rental housing. And so Metro, the planning, staff anyway, in the planning department, I guess, are, the housing, right, okay, are working on a report to deliver, to help municipalities deliver buildings, multifamily buildings faster. These would be prototypes of 6-story buildings, and they would be regularized designs and standardizing the regulations. So 30 to 50% faster to be built, and that final report is going to be available in February. So that was interesting. We gave them a bit of feedback. And the other bigger picture item, which was also interesting, is that most people on that committee who represent everything from industry to labor to universities and colleges are very concerned about the new federal reductions in immigration numbers. And they argue that it's economically going to be a very big problem, and that they are writing a letter to the provincial and federal governments to tell them about their concerns. So thought that was interesting.
Thank you, Councillor Gambioli. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to report that last week Enhance West Van held, from what I understand, was a highly successful AI conference. Unfortunately, I am the liaison, but I also had 2 conflicts that evening. I do know that Councillor Lambert attended, and by all reports, number one, it was a huge sellout and a success. So I am disappointed that I missed it.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. May I have a motion to receive those reports, please? Thank you. Councillor Snyder, seconded by Councillor Watt. Call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. For the nice gentleman who has sat patiently, no public questions this evening, could I have a motion to adjourn? Councillor Snyder, seconded by Councillor Watt. Question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much.